Welcome to our practice. In preparation for the practice, we won't need much today, perhaps a block and a blanket. And our focus is focus. So as much as, or silly as that sounds, we're trying to stay focused in the class. But not only that, we're trying to find kind of our center, not the center within ourselves, and perhaps that's true, but more so a centered point of focus. And perhaps I'll weave that in when I can during the physical practice, as well as within our mindfulness. So to begin with, let's start lying down on the belly. And as you might come to lie down on your front, you could choose to spread the hands out in front of you, widen the elbows to the sides. And if it is suitable, you might also choose to find a triangle with your fingers, touching thumbs and index fingers together. And there's already a center to be found. You could then place the forehead into the center of this triangle, while your elbows still spread out, so your shoulders are nice and easy. As you might come to lie down this way, take your time to be comfortable. Let the shoulders broaden and be easy. Perhaps by allowing your arms to be more or less free of weight bearing. Once you've got your upper body here in a comfortable position, you could choose to open the legs out wide, point your toes outwards, and create a big space for the lower body's energy. If this feels like you're exposing yourself and you need something different, you could bring the legs in and point the toes, the big toes to touch, letting your heels roll out to either side. You might even like to explore these two different options for yourself before you make a choice. Acknowledging perhaps as well how that feels around the pelvis and the lower back. Once you've got that, perhaps a deeper breath in through the nose, and then letting your breath gently escape as you could allow the body to sink a bit more into the shape and into the mat. Perhaps a good focus to start with are the contours of your body. Perhaps you can feel them. You might start with the head, the arms and the elbows. Explore down the sides of the body, perhaps all the way down towards the feet, and depending on how your legs are positioned, including that space between the legs. And you might repeat that mindful exploration of your contours from the feet upwards again. Perhaps aware now of the contours of the body. You could try and find in your mind a centered point somewhere between the head and the feet. Perhaps taking a note where your mind takes you to. Where you might begin to deepen the breath and direct it into that centered point that you have chosen. The centered point could be around your abdomen, navel. It might be more towards the solar plexus. You could have even chosen perhaps your heart. Wherever this point is for you, hold the focus there and allow your breath to expand into the area while you're inhaling, and then feel that point drawing inwards, perhaps in the physical body as you breathe out. So now aware of your center point and the breath that is moving that area. Allowing another 3 breaths. Once completed the breath, leave the mind at that centered point just for a little bit longer. Perhaps allowing the legs to come to a comfortable hip distance. And exploring in your mind from that centered point all the way out towards your contours, to the outer frame of your physical body. Aware now of the contours, take in your whole body lying here on the mat. Before, you might take a breath in just to lift your head gently. The chest might lightly rise. And as you breathe out, soften back down towards the floor. You might breathe in and raise the right leg a little and land it back down when you breathe out. Repeating perhaps on the left-hand side, inhaling and exhaling to land it. You might once more like to lift your head and chest as you breathe in and then out to land again. You might then slide your hands a little bit further apart. Place the right hand down just underneath the shoulder and push a little bit into the mat so you can roll comfortably onto your left-hand side. You might use your cushion there as a little support, or bring the hand or arm underneath your body. Your legs could be extended. The top hand a support for balance. And you might explore bending the right knee. If it is within comfortable reach, you could lengthen your arm downwards and catch the foot or the ankle. If not, you might just leave the leg in the knee bend, resting. Now for the in-breath, moving the knee a little bit behind you, starting to squeeze into the buttocks muscles, bringing your hips forward, and perhaps even your chest is starting to open. You might start looking lightly upwards and even raising your chin. If you're holding onto the foot, push it back into the hand, like a dancer pose, lying down. A deep breath in here. And once you breathe out, start to soften, bringing your right knee now up towards the chest, and maybe even tucking your nose down towards the knee. Allow a breath now to explore the back side of the body in its rounded form. And from here, you might extend both legs back out long, lengthen the arm over the side of the body, and perhaps pause for a moment in the side-lying Buddha. You might draw your attention back to what you defined as the center of your body. Releasing your hand back down and returning to the front side of the body. As you lie back down onto the front, now placing your left hand underneath the shoulder, pushing into the floor to roll upon the right-hand side of the body. And again, your cushion could be underneath the head, or you might place your arm underneath. Legs might be out long at this point, and the hand in front, your support for balance. Same choices. Top or left knee might bend. It's up to you to keep it like this, or reach for the ankle or the foot. Then beginning to move the knee behind. And starting to squeeze the buttocks so the hips come forward. Your chest might open. You might raise the chin and the gaze. If your hand is on the foot or the ankle, please bring the foot or ankle into the hand, working deeper into that extension of the front body. The knee is behind the leg at this point, but remains low. A deeper breath over the front body as you inhale. And then slowly releasing that as you breathe out, beginning to bring the knee now up in front, tucking it towards the nose as you round your spine. Taking a deeper breath over the back body into the roundedness. From where you might fully extend the body out long, and perhaps even rest your arm on top of the body, finding your side-lying Buddha pose again. While the posture looks passive, there's a lot of balancing activity, and you might bring your awareness now towards the center that you've defined. Gently releasing yourself again onto the front of the body. Where you might extend your right arm directly out to the side at shoulder height. Palm of the hand might here touch the floor. The left hand underneath the shoulder. And perhaps starting to push that hand into the ground, carefully rolling upon the right hand shoulder. I've started to bend my left knee for a little bit of support. If you find this is sufficient, pause here. Others might roll further upon the shoulder, perhaps even step their left foot behind the right leg. Please be mindful if you do have shoulder issues on that side to stay with the gentle variation or even lying still down. For those of you who enjoy a little bit of movement, you could have a subtle rocking in and out of that broken wing shape. Softly returning to the front of the body. And changing sides, as you might extend your left arm out to the side at shoulder height. Placing right hand down underneath the shoulder. And starting to use the right hand into the mat to roll upon that left shoulder if available to you. Same as on the other side, you could stay low. Or you could choose to expand that shoulder stretch by starting to take the right foot behind the left leg, raise the knee. It is your choice of intensity, and it is a choice to rock a little bit in and out. Exploring expansion into the shoulder. Coming back to the front of the body and taking both hands now underneath the shoulders. For a breath in, starting to push the floor away. As you might come up towards all fours, you could choose to drop the buttocks towards the heels. Perhaps a little sway, a movement in a soft child's pose. And then rising again onto hands and knees. You can stand on fists, but you might also choose to spread your hands out wide. If that is your choice, move away from the wrists forward into the hands. The knees hip distance apart. Finding some groundedness through shins and tops of the feet. And you might raise your right leg up, perhaps even the left arm forward. Now, while you might choose to hold that, feel into the fingertips of the left hand, the toes of the right foot. Find that full expansion. And from there, the center point. On the out breath, then draw towards your center, elbow, knee, and nose. Then expand again as you breathe in. Round once more towards your center, breathing out. One more round, breathing in to expand. And out to curl towards your center. Last expansion on that side while you breathe in. Hold again, stretching from the fingers towards the toes. Then landing hand and knee down onto the mat. Find an out breath for a cat. Neutralizing your spine and reestablishing your groundedness through the hands, shins, tops of the feet. With stability in the body, could you extend your left leg out long? And perhaps reach your right arm forward. Again, feel, hold, length from fingertips towards the toes. Finding your center point. And on the out breath, drawing towards the center, elbow, knee, and nose. The in-breath to lengthen out. And then 2 more, aware of the expansion and your center as you move. Once you completed your rounds, we're all moving in different breaths and pace. Hold again into the length. Aware of the center point that you have. Then landing hand and knee and another out breath for a cat position. Taking an inhale as you could now choose to lengthen the spine, neutralize or lift your tail and gaze. And 1 more cat as you breathe out. You might use your rounded spine to sit towards your heels. And from there, change from heel sitting to a seated position of your choice. Now I will choose an easy pose to sit in. If you prefer to stay seated upon your heels, you might like to widen your knees a little. You can, of course, sit in any other shape or form. I've chosen a block underneath. Let's place the hands down towards the thighs or the knees. Keeping the elbows a little bit soft, your shoulders relaxed. You might keep your eyes open and find a steady focal point, or you might close the eyes. Then start to circle around your waist. Perhaps your center point lies somewhere there, and you could imagine that you're circling around that center point. You might choose to broaden the circles, widen them. This widening of the circle might take you further outwards, away from your center, back towards your contours. As you come all the way back towards the seated position, taking a deep breath in, you might hold upon your knees and a breath out to round again towards a cat position. You might now lean into your hands for a back bend as you raise your chest, chin and gaze, inhaling. And on the out breath back to the seated cat. You might repeat for 2 more breaths. Once completed, if you are in an easy pose, perhaps changing the leg you've got in front. Placing hands back down, elbows soft. Finding a tall seated position. Now we spiraled outwards and we went into our natural direction. Now go big and in the opposite direction. Find the contours of your circle. Aware of the circle that you're drawing around you. Eye gaze steady or eyes closed. And now bringing the focus and the movement in towards your center point. Until your circle is small and just around your waist. Or you might stop the movement altogether, lower your gaze or close the eyes, and rest your awareness in your center. You might allow your relaxed breath to be present in that center. Keeping your eyes open as you might join me in a standing position. You might like to stand at the shorter front end of your mat if that's convenient, placing your feet down in hip distance apart. Perhaps a moment to rock over the feet to find a good solid stance into the ground. As you come to stand here, noticing whether you are leaning towards straightening the legs completely, nothing wrong with that. Please activate your inner heels if you feel that's what you're doing. Or you might choose to deliberately keep your knees a little bit soft and the natural groundedness in the feet. See what sits better with you for this practice right now. And find again a steady gazing or focal point. Turning the palms of the hands now forward. Your movement could be smaller. As you might know, my left arm is not moving that well, so I will keep it very small on one side. If you've got full range of movement through your arms and shoulders, please use the full circle of your arms. While you breathe in, let your arms draw a circle up. You might even choose to change your focal point to the hands above. And as you breathe out, holding your groundedness through the feet, let your arms trace that circle back down towards the sides of the body. So a big circle upwards as you breathe in. And a big circle downwards as you breathe out. Now, once the arm movement is present and mindful, draw the attention towards the feet, feeling grounded in the feet, and feeling that that circle happens almost from your feet up towards the ceiling, and then back down to the sides. So focusing on the full circle that you're drawing around yourself. Let's reach out into that full circle last time. And then draw the hands together down toward heart or even belly, wherever you might feel you're centered to sit. Bend your hips, your knees, and come towards a chair pose. You might press the palms of your hands together where you perceive you're centered to be. Allow your sitting bones to open. And draw all your attention to that pressure between your hands and your inner center. Now, while you're breathing out, start to twist this chair to one side. If you like to hook your elbow, you could, but this is more about moving from your center. An inhale to come back to the center. And an exhale to release your arms and lengthen your legs. Let the arms relax, turn the palms forward. You might choose again to keep knees deliberately soft and the natural groundedness, or legs active and inner heels toward each other. Returning to your focal point. And you might choose to draw 3 more circles. Imagine they come right from your feet, up as you inhale, and down as you exhale. When we come to that third one, draw the hands back down to your center, return to Karasana chair pose. Gentle pressure between the palms of your hands, leaving sitting bones open, lower belly on. And from this center point in your awareness, twisting now the chair to the other side. Same here, you could hook your elbow, you could keep your chair floating. Inhaling to center, exhaling to soften into standing. Allow yourself a moment perhaps to remain in mountain pose. You could even close your eyes or find your focal point again. Noticing that your feet are still on the ground. That your body still has the same contours that it had when we began. And that right there in your middle is your center point. So you might now blink your eyes open. Let's turn to the long side edge of the mat and widen the stance. Beginning perhaps with the right toes pointing to the short side. A wider stance here and the left heel turned to the other side. Now bending into the right knee and placing that more or less over the ankle joint. You might begin with the left hand in the side of the waist, and the right forearm could come to the middle of your thigh. While that appears to be comfortable, I'd encourage you to activate it, pressing down the forearm into the thigh and forward towards the knee. Then with that action, lifting your left shoulder. Feeling a sense of groundedness in both feet, and particularly the outer edge of the back foot. Now choose your focal point or drishti. Do you like to look downwards? Do you prefer to look straight out or upwards? You could remain here, leaving the pressure of the forearm active. Or while you do that, you could also expand the top arm towards the ceiling. Parshva Konasana, side angle pose. Can you see the expansion in your mind of your whole body? And where your center lies within this shape? Perhaps more a feeling. Releasing by softening the back knee and relaxing the top arm. Placing the hands perhaps on top of the front thigh as you begin to draw the back foot in. You might open your arms out wide, shoulder height, and perhaps lean forward, maybe even lifting the back foot off the floor And if that is your choice, you might flex the foot pointed down for an aeroplane. Now keeping your gaze down, the focus on the ground, while you're expanding into your wings, as well as the crown of the head, the back foot. There's no better focus on your center than a balance. Take one more breath. And then land your foot back down, turning again to the long side edge of the mat. Letting arms relax for a moment, shoulders soften. And changing sides, as you might turn your left toes to the short edge. Right heel to the other. Beginning with a bend in the knee, placing it over the ankle. The right hand might start in the side of your waist, and perhaps the left forearm landing on the thigh. Land it on the middle and begin to press down into the thigh as well as forward towards the knee. That might help your top shoulder to roll back. Now find your focal point. Where do you want to look towards? Down, middle, or up? Then bring awareness back into the feet. Outer edge of the back foot, rounding into the front foot. An option to extend your top arm towards the ceiling. Maybe now finding your contours again, expansion in that shape. And perhaps where you perceive your center to be within this shape. Taking a breath in as you bend your back knee. Let your top arm relax. The hands might come to the left side, and you could start to draw the back foot in. Opening your wings out, shoulder height, arms, and an option to raise the back foot off the floor. And if you do, please flex that foot again, turn the toes towards the ground. Keep the gaze downwards. And see if you can spread your energy out into the arms, the fingers, the crown of the head, the sole of the foot. And within all of that, the wobbles, the turbulences of this shape, noticing where you're finding your center of gravity. Landing your foot back all the way, releasing your arms, centering perhaps again towards the long side edge of the mat. The toes are turned outward. Let's use the circle with the wider legs, but only for the in-breaths to raise the arms up. Now for the out-breaths, bend your elbows, bend your knees, and settle into goddess form. It's going to want to find your center in. So while your knees are bent, create a little movement in the pelvis. See if you can find that pelvic bowl to center. If your arms are in cactus style, spread the fingers out. Find steadiness in your gaze. Noticing the contours of this shape, your center, and perhaps there's a raise of the heels, only an option. You can ground the heels down anytime. Breathing in. As you breathe out, release your hands. Turn the toes forward and gently fold towards the mat. Releasing both knees down towards the floor. And maybe if you like, you can roll up the end of your mat, or you might choose a folded blanket to sit upon. Cushion is fine too. Extending both of your legs forward. Allowing a little bit of length here. But now bending your knees. Turning the toes to face upwards towards the ceiling and placing your fingertips down by your sides. Pressing the fingertips lightly into the ground, encouraging a taller spinal position. Gently letting the shoulders soften into their sockets. And either looking straight ahead, focusing on your toes, or closing the eyes. Feel your whole bodily shape. A breath in for fingertips to encourage to rise even further. And a breath out that could allow you to sway or lean forward. Perhaps for some, the belly even touches the thighs. At that point, might you take your hands further forward or rest them on the legs. Keeping shoulders easy, you could even start leaning further forward. Keep the toes looking upwards. And some of you might even extend their legs further. Now explore the shape again. You might have folded it. See how the contours of the shape have changed. And perhaps in this forward bend, the center of the shape is different again. If you feel comfortable with it, you might start to point one foot while you keep the other one drawing back, and then change that. If this feels good, change it multiple times. And notice how that might impact your forward bend. Paschimottanasana. You could, after a little while, bring your feet back into alignment, toes up to the ceiling, and surrender back to the shape again. And slowly uncurling back towards a seated position. I'd like to remove your sitting support. You might prepare to have a block by your side. And a return to a, no, you're not returning even, the first time coming to lie down onto the back. Placing feet down to start with. Now arms might be along the sides of the body, palms touching. And you might take a few rounds where you breathe in to tilt the pelvis, raise the hips, and out to roll the spine to the floor. You might repeat that a few more times. And eventually you might keep the hips up. Now I will be offering a block underneath. I will choose a slightly higher position today, but feel free to keep your block flat. And slightly, I mean midpoint. You might then raise the feet off the floor. And one usually take the legs towards the ceiling. Today, you might choose to bring them more over the body, however far that might be possible for you, using perhaps the block underneath. However, if some of you feel their shoulders and neck are healthy enough, you could also take a hold of your hips and bring the hips up a little bit further. Some of you that choose the floating hips might then extend their arms, rest the hands upon the shins, and find a pose of tranquility. This is again a light balance. Hands, neck, and shoulders need to be great to actually float there. But once you found the balance, you will have that beautiful centered point. And some of you might choose what I'm doing right here, mimicking that center point and still using the block. If you've raised your hips, slowly bring them back down. If you're with me on the block, bending the knees again, maybe taking a hold of the block, landing the feet down, removing the block if that is you, and gently rolling back down onto the mat. From where you might now roll from side to side, you might place the hands underneath the buttocks, the arms tucked under. Perhaps even extending both legs out long and pointing out to the toes. You could then lift your upper body and land on the forearms, tucking your elbows under, perhaps looking at your toes and starting to raise the sternum for a fish pose. Your neck is happy, push the chin forward and guide the head backwards. The head here would be floating, the chest for all, a high point. Matsuyasana, fish. You might slowly release the back of the head down. Roll from side to side to move the arms out from underneath. Open the arms out wide. Knees might be bent now. And you might be able to complete here by rolling knees and maybe even the head from side to side. This could be gentle or full range, depending on what your body feels like. Once you feel there's some ease back in the body, allow yourself to center. You might keep your knees bent, your feet wide, knees falling inwards, arms releasing by the sides. Or you could choose a full supported or unsupported Shavasana, bolster underneath or legs out long and toes rolling outward. Now, as you land in the shape, come to focus back on the contours of your body. As you trace that, could you then be aware and draw the awareness from the outer lines of your body to the center? As you allow perhaps your mind to remain at the center for a moment, before you come to relax completely, I would like to guide you through Samavriti or box breath. Again, a shape that has contours and a center. If you're comfortable, at your next exhalation, extend to a count of 4. Then breathe in to a count of 4. Exploring Samavriti 1 first, exhaling for 4, inhaling for 4. You may stay with this, or you may add the breath retention, the hold of the breath on either side. Perhaps also to a count of 4, perhaps shorter, keeping the holds even and the breath even. So maybe you're breathing out for 4, hold for 4, in for 4, hold for 4. Tracing the contours of the box. Allowing your mind to stay with the contours. While the center of this practice is the breath, attention itself. Completing your breathing practice with your next exhalation. Perhaps the focus remains on the box. Seeing that in front of your closed eyes, while your breath returns to a natural pace. Then allow the box to fade. And land wherever you are right now. Notice where you have landed. Noticing if any thoughts are present around expectations of yourself. such as perhaps finding silence, perhaps judgment of self around practice of focus, mindfulness, meditation. If there's any of that present, you might now bring your full attention to yourself in this very moment. Just placing your attention here is already meditation. And perhaps even allow thoughts to come and go with a similar ease to the flow of your breath. I will leave you with this exploration, perhaps extend it to what else you notice and what might cloud your vision of focus, returning to the effortless flow of thoughts and breath when you need a little reminder. Might like to notice where you have landed now. No judgment, just where are you? As you might land back into the body or even the center, . Expanding your awareness back to the breath as you begin to deepen. And perhaps beginning to explore your contours again as you start some movement or lengthening. And eventually you could choose to roll to your side or rise up over the front to join me seated. Once you might have landed and joined in, there's an option to draw one last big circle around you, to breathe in, to raise the arms, the awareness, and then perhaps draw all of this down deliberately towards heart center. Perhaps the light bow of the head as you raise your heart towards your hands. Acknowledging yourself with kindness, knowing that everything is a practice. And if we put our focus towards it, we start to learn. From our hearts, we might extend with a light bow to acknowledge each other. Namaste.